Now, for the next one, it says 2 times 1/4. There's one thing I don't like about how the book draws it. See how they drew 2 here? They drew 2 separate things. They drew one box here, and then right next to it they drew another box, so this stands for 2. I wish they'd separate it because it kind of looks like they divided the box in half, doesn't it? Yeah. So we're not going to draw it that way because I find that confusing. It looks like 1/2 when they mean 2 whole things. So we're going to draw that a little bit differently than they do in the book, but that's why. Each one of those is still 1/4 size pieces. They broke it into 1/4. Then there's 1/4 of this one and 1/4 of this one. So they had 2 1/4 size pieces. And so when they do the math over here, it's 2 1/4 size pieces. 2 1/4 size pieces are 1/2. We're going to do some examples like this. We're going to skip 1 and 2 to start because I think that this part's super duper hard if you haven't drawn pictures. So we're going to actually do those ones last. We're going to start right now with example 3, which is 1/4 times 1/3. And we're going to, at this point in time, keep working together. If you can't start to do it on your own, then I want to know. Okay, so we're going to write on your paper 1/4 times 1/3 so that you and I both know what the problem is. And then we're going to draw a box. And remember, this is the first thing we're going to do, and this is the second thing we're going to do. The first says we have how much? 1/4. So we have to divide this box into how many pieces? 4, because 1/4 means I have 4 equal pieces. So 3 lines makes 4 spaces. And I'm going to color in how many of them? 1, because it's 1/4. It is critically important to me that you understand what the fraction means. Steph, what's your question? We almost always do the first one as columns and the second one is rows. Because multiplication is commutative, you can rearrange it. It really doesn't matter. However, in this group, because of how we do some other things over the course of the year, I'm always going to do columns first and rows second. Okay? But no, you should get the right answer either way, but it's because multiplication is commutative. Can I move on? So this part's 1/4. We've colored in 1/4. What's this side need to show us? This side needs to show us 1/3, which means I need to divide it into how many pieces? 3. And how many am I going to color in? Just 1. Notice I'm going to go all the way across. Even though you wouldn't technically go all the way across because I only have 1 of the quarters. Why do I keep drawing all the boxes? Why wouldn't I just draw 1/4?
I'm confused. I'm lost.
You understood the part. You understood the quarter. You understood that we divide it into 3 pieces. Yes? So you're not lost. Mrs. Smith, why did we color in 1 row? That's your question, right? And the reason is because we want 1 of the thirds. So we're going to go all the way across. Remember, it's kind of like Bree said. The first number is up and down, and then the second one is across, and we're going to lay them on top of each other. Okay? And so I'm going to color in 1/3. How many of them are in both places? 1. This one right here. What size piece is that? What size piece is that? Riley. 1/12. How do you know, Riley? There's 12 boxes in the whole thing. So the reason we're drawing all the way across, even though it doesn't get included, is so that at the end, we know what size that piece is. If I just drew 1/4 and then cut that into thirds, it would kind of look like I still have thirds, right? When in fact, I don't. They're all 12 size pieces because I had 4 pieces and they each got cut into 3. So if I have 4 3 times, I actually have 12 pieces. Bree, what's your question?
Okay, so since we colored in 1/4, then we have to color in 1/3. We color in one
column, yes.
And 1 row.
Yes. Yes. This is making more sense to me, Mrs. Smith. I still don't know if I can do the picture by myself, but this is making more sense to me. It's where you need to be.
Kind of instead of here, I kind of.
Yeah, and I'll take a 45-degree angle in the up direction. Okay, some of you are all the way. Good. Here's what I want. I want your best attempt on number 4 with your partner. Do 4 with your best attempts with your partner. 1/2 times 1/2. You're going to draw the picture. Remember, we do columns first, rows second. And I did not do attendance, so I'm going to do that while you are discussing. Draw the box, make your comparisons with your partner. Hopefully between the two of you, you can figure it out. Ellie, you guys got it? Riley? Oh, that's a great question, because we're breaking it into pieces. So we're taking a part and breaking it into smaller parts. Does that make sense? So it would only make sense that if we're doing what it says, that we would end up with a smaller piece. That's a great question. It's a great question.
You have to draw a picture for every single one?
Yes. Do you guys have a picture for this one?
Yes.
Do you have a picture?
Yep.
You got it? You got it, Steph? You guys got it? You guys got it? You got it. All right, who wants to tell me how they drew their picture? Who wants to tell me? That is not chatted. Colton, tell me what you guys did. I have 1/2 times 1/2. I have a box. Tell me what to do.
I drew the box, put a line down the middle.
Okay. One line makes 2 pieces, and then what?
You froze it.
Shaded,
Thank you.
And then what?
shaded half of it.
Okay, so I did 1/2 this way. Someone else take over. Colton is spot on so far. Then what happened, Destiny? What'd you do? Okay. And then what? Just this one? All the way across, because you have to color half all the way. What did you end up with? What's my answer for 1/2 times 1/2 then? Why 1/4? Good. We colored 1 and 2 times, and there are 4 total pieces. Riley asked an awesome question. He said, Mrs. Smith, how can we end up with a smaller piece? We had 2 big pieces. How do we end up with a smaller piece? Because 1/4 is smaller than 1/2. How does that happen? Kyra. They are only sharing 1 piece. Steph, you were going to add to that. It might be. If you show it to me, there might be some connection between that method. Yep. Bree, how do I end up with a smaller piece?
Well, I was going to say something.
Yes?
Okay, so I got 1/4, but I looked at the empty box and realized there were 4 pieces and that there was only 1 square left, but that won't work for every single one.
No, we are not looking at this piece, are we? What we had was we started with a 1/2. Then we took half of that. So that's how we end up with that 1 piece. Tell me why we're keeping all the other pieces around then. Why are we keeping all the other pieces, Kyra? Because that's how many pieces are in the whole thing. And in a fraction, the denominator is how many pieces are in the whole. And so we end up with a smaller piece because we took part of a part, right? If I have part of a pie and I divide it in half, I'm going to get less pieces. I'm going to get a smaller amount of pizza or pie or whatever it is I'm cutting in half. So when you take a part of a part, you end up with a smaller piece. We divided them into more pieces. And remember, when I have a big denominator, my pieces are tiny. Question?
If you would have only done the 1 and the 1, do 1 over 1 and 1.
And that's wrong, right? Because it would be an incorrect drawing. If I did this and this, it would look like I have 1 whole one. In fact, I have 1, but it's not a whole piece. It's 1/4 of a piece. Riley?
What if you do like 1/2 times 4?
Ooh, and we're going to do a whole number and a fraction later on. Let's do a couple more fractions, and then we're going to answer that question. That's some good